war rages across the mortal realms. New alliances are formed while others lie shattered, and the dominant powers ever seek their next conquest. While this and countless other battles rage on, one fact is becoming clear. The season of war has begun. This video is brought to you by the support of our channel members and the FLGS Partners, Warfire Minis, and X-Planet.
Hello and welcome to Season of War! We're excited to bring you back for another game of Age of Sigmar. I'm Jordan, back here with Zach again after a bit of a hiatus.
Pretty long hiatus, yeah. Exploring other 40k systems currently.
Yes, yeah, so we got some sci-fi filth, which might come to the channel in a little bit as well, but for now, obviously, lots of AOS on the go with the new GHB. Zach, this is your first match with the new book, or the new General Sam book.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Lots of wizardry stuff for an army that I don't really have too much wizardry stuff with, but it will be cool to see kind of how it all coincides.
Yeah, for sure. And similarly, I don't think my army is one that really takes advantage of it like some do, but never hurts when you have a bunch of spells to just make them more reliable.
Exactly.
But jumping right into things, the mission we're playing today is Every Step Forward. So on this one, we have 4 objectives split along the border of our 2 territories. It's hold 1, hold 2, hold more scoring. And then the twist with this one is when you charge with a unit, every model in that unit counts as 1 additional model for the purposes of contesting objectives. So it helps, if you're aggressive, you're going to be able to cap objectives easier.
Yeah.
And then if you retreat, your unit counts as no bodies on objectives or can't contest objectives.
Pretty cool rule.
Yeah, so I'm as a aggressive Stonehorn player, you are all full steam ahead often.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though, because it actually almost benefits me the least because I'm just a bunch of 1 model dudes, right? So I'll go to 11 instead of 10.
Yes.
But yes, exactly.
A unit of 10 models, can't take it from you anymore or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how much, like you said, if any impact it has on this game. But at this point, Zach, do you want to take us through your list?
Yeah, so this is my traditional list. Been running it for a pretty long time now. So I have my general, who's an Icebrow Hunter, and this is all wrapped up in boulder heads. He has a command trait that lets him know a prayer. The prayer gives +3 range move to any monsters, so that's any of these guys right here. Kragnos is in the list, an absolute beatstick as usual, buffs up the army in a great way with the additional d6 to charge. Then I have a Stonehorn right here. He has Metal Cruncher, which does mortals if you have a pretty high save. And then other guy here, he has Arcane Tome for a little bit of hopefully defensive buffs. So, nice. And then I have 3 units of 2 Frost Sabers. Just great little objective holders and screening
Fill
tools.
out your battle line.
Yeah, exactly. So I can run as much monsters as possible.
Yeah, nice. Well then, looking at my army, I am playing the Ossiarch Bonereapers today, as chosen and voted on by our channel members. So if you want to have a say on what we're playing, that's the best way. And I'm playing Mortis Praetorians. I'm actually playing a list that I hijacked and stole from my buddy Matthias, who is on Team Canada. He's a super big OBR stan, so we actually played this list, or I played against him with this list recently, but it was before the new GHB, so talking with him, kind of converting it for the new GHB. It went up in points with the new battle scroll that just came out this morning, or we got access to this morning. So excited to see how that impacts, because from that list, I had to drop my Mortec down from 30 to 20, which is a big difference. So to go through everything now, I have a unit of 20 Mortec and then 2 units of 5 Death Riders to fill out the battle line. And then I just have 4 heroes packing things in. I got Catacross, Arcan, a Soul Mason, who is my general, and then Arch-Tavlos Xantos, who is the named Liege Tavlos. He's got a great aura ability, and again, with all my mounted stuff, they're doing impact mortals as you are. And again, Catacross is here kind of leading the way, and Arcan is an amazing caster kind of backing everything up. I do also have 2 endless spells. I have the Bone-Tithe Shrieker, which is just an incredible auto take, and then I am running the Nightmare Predator as well because of the list changes. It freed up points, and that was one that fit in well. I've thought about something that Gemnids is such a good one, but it kind of already overlaps with the Bone-Tithe Shrieker, so it didn't really feel like there was a lot of purpose in taking both. But in the end, I was all wrapped up in a battle regiment and then had 1 additional unit outside because of my 2 big heroes. Zach, you are 3 drops here, so it does give me choice.
It does.
And to no one's surprise, we're going to give away the turn.
Sounds good.
We're going to Ogor Mawtribes turn 1.
With few tactical options, the Mawtribe battle tactic is magical dominance. Kragnos and the Soul Mason both use heroic leadership. The Frostlord Wizard casts Mystic Shield on the other Frostlord. The Frost Sabers use at the double to automatically run 6 inches. Holding back and looking for weaknesses, the Ogres complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
Alrighty, so turn 1, I was very conservative, as you can see. There is some merit in trying to run in and pin Jordan in his deployment zone, but it would only make sense if I could get this Stonehorn into these guys, and it was quite the charge measuring out for him to get into there. Once again, being able to just like hold him there and pin, because even though Jordan's tanky, I'm also pretty tanky. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna choose not to do that, because in addition, if let's say something goes wrong, I lose a guy, you Curse of Years a guy off if you get lucky, and then you charge, then you're holding more on the objectives than I am. So a little bit more conservative tactic. I didn't have a bunch of good ones, and I had a risky one, which was just try to get a spell off. Luckily I did, with my +1 near the pod.
Yes, we tied, so you got it off.
Just enough, which was pretty lucky there. And for the most part, just tipping on objectives, letting Jordan kind of make the first move if he wants to. Obviously, he has the kind of staying power to stay on those objectives, so we'll see what's...
fingers crossed, but it'll be interesting to see how this one unfolds. There's a lot of abilities that we have between our armies that are fairly good or counter the other guy. So it's going to be seeing who gets to use them first or get them off the right moments. But otherwise, we can just jump into OBR turn 1.
While their disciplined force marches forwards, the Ossiarch battle tactic is magical dominance. The Soul Mason fails heroic leadership, and Kragnos uses heroic willpower. Catacross uses Supreme Lord of the Bonereaper Legions and targets the Frostlord with his Gnosis Scrollbearer. Arcan casts Mystic Shield and reinforced constructs on the Mortek Guard, then miscast the Nightmare Predator. The Mortek Guard use at the double. Tempered in their early maneuvering, the Bonereapers complete their battle tactic and score 4 points.
Alright, back from OBR turn 1, and it was pretty measured. I similarly didn't have a great battle tactic option, so went for casting spells and not getting unbound, and got a little lucky. I got my first 2 off with Arcan on big, 8s or 9s or whatever, which with +2 helps. So I got the 2 main spells I really wanted off, which was Reinforced Constructs and Mystic Shield on my Mortek Guard, so they can hopefully take the hit and stay alive. I did then go, I thought I was going to stop there, but then I went for Nightmare Predator, just because that, doing 2d3 mortal wounds, so when you're Stonehorns, super big.
Very handy.
And having that out there for you to worry about, okay, then you maybe unbind it, don't get your Mystic Shield off next turn. Stuff like that. It was valuable to have out, so I went for it. Thankfully, it wasn't unbound, but I did miscast it, though that really didn't mean anything because I healed the wounds back after.
Yeah, it was kind of the best outcome for not being able to get it off, right?
Yeah, so tough for me though position-wise because I have to respect the speed that you have in your army. I just touched that objective with the Death Riders, so that again I'm scoring 2 here because I'm not getting more. So I'm going to be dropping a battle tactic right now. A point. I dropped my battle tactic. So a little behind off the start, but again, like you said, measured in the early stages, not overextending. But it's going to be interesting to see how things go throughout the game. But we can just, I guess, jump into it. Going into priority for round 2.
Yes, sir.
You are winning ties. You roll a 6 to my 6, so the ties matter.
Yeah, I think I have to take it, or I risk getting kind of stuck in my zone opposed to getting stuck in your zone. So I think I'll take the turn.
Cool, sounds good. And with that, we'll go into Ogor Mawtribes turn 2.
Yes, sir.
Looking to charge and trample the constructs, the Ogre battle tactic is surround and destroy. Kragnos and Catacros both use heroic leadership. The Icebrow Hunter chants for Key and Gale on the Frostlord. The Frostlord Wizard casts Mystic Shield on Kragnos. The Frostlord Wizard deals 5 mortals on impact to the Mortek Guard. Then Catacros attempts to charge with the Dread Legion, but fails. The Frostlord on Stonehorn uses Horde to victory, but fails his charge. Kragnos deals 1 mortal on impact to the Mortek Guard. Kragnos roars the Mortek, and the Stonehorn uses Unstoppable Charge, killing 2 Mortek. Then the Death Riders use Counter-Strike. At the start of the combat phase, Arch-Cavalos Xantos uses Still Their Breath. Kragnos uses Solid Attack, but after some stellar save rolls, he only kills 5 Mortek Guard. The Death Riders use Bludgeon, but deal just 3 damage to the Frostlord Wizard. The Frostlord retaliates and deals 13 damage to the Death Riders, which nearly takes them out. The Mortek Guard attack next and deal 2 damage to Kragnos. Smashing into their foes' ranks, the Ogres complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
Okay, so Ogor Mawtribes turn 2. Took the turn because it was kind of the go turn, as mentioned previously. Yeah. I'd rather get Jordan more stuck in his zone than him coming into my zone.
Fight on your objectives.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of gives me a little bit more control of the tempo of the game. Goal was just to charge these guys all in. Unfortunately, he failed his charge, or else I would have been even more security over there, making sure he has limited movement. But Stonehorn and Kragnos went into those 2 units. Wasn't expecting to kill the Cav at all, but was hoping to kill the Mortek just because the recursion is so strong. Unfortunately, wasn't able to, which was too bad. But I still hold that objective, still have 40 models on it, so that's still strong. And I'm still touching both of these objectives. So if Jordan tries to come to try to get these, I get to allocate which objective. And so I'm still in a good spot despite that. Obviously, looking for kind of a nasty hit back here. But yeah, the turn went relatively according to plan for the most part.
For sure. No, pretty solid. I failed though my counter charge with Kragnos would have been, Catacros would have been extra spicy. Now your Frostlord got to do his movement, so you might have been able to kind of pull away from him. But he only moved, I think he only moved 7, so I still might have been able to pile in and hit him, or pile into Kragnos. So with either is spicy because they're heroes. So didn't get that. The other thing, I put the -1 hit on that Stonehorn or Frostlord, wanting to protect these guys because they're kind of out on their own. Was that the right decision? Obviously, it didn't impact because you failed your charge, but
I think it's good just keep them up as security, because potentially, like, I was kind of close to wiping that unit there, and so if I was able to like wipe that unit the same, right? It's losing both of your fast cab units could be dangerous.
Yeah, oh for sure. And similarly over here, I got a little overzealous with wanting to do the bludgeon. Now we both at times made really good saves, and there I could have honestly I had a chance to put on like 5 to 7 damage into him.
Oh, yeah.
The attacks that I got through.
Like on average.
Yeah. So bludgeon would have been really nice if I got that. In hindsight, obviously, +1 to save would have been really helpful too. So yeah, can't do anything about it now. Didn't work out the best for me there. But as you said, we're gonna have a fight back here as we jump into Bonereapers turn 2.
Yes, sir.
Pinned by the onrushing monstrosities, the Ossiarch battle tactic is bait and trap. Catacross uses heroic leadership, and the Stonehorn Wizard uses their finest hour. Catacross uses Supreme Lord of the Bonereaper Legions, and his Gnosis Scrollbearer targets Kragnos. The Bone Tithe Nexus uses Punishment of Agony on the Frostlord Wizard. Arcan casts Drain Vitality on the Frostlord with the help of a Primal Die. Then miscast Empower Nadirite Weapons. Damn, another miscast? Ouch. The Soul Mason casts Mystic Shield on Arcan, then has Reinforced Constructs unbound with a Primal Die. The Mortek Guard and Death Riders both use Reknit Constructs. Xantos deals 1 mortal wound on impact, and the Death Riders deal 2 more. Arcan roars the Frostlord Wizard, who in turn roars Catacross. Archcavalo Xantos again uses Still Their Breath. Catacross attacks first, dealing 9 damage to the Frostlord. The Frostlord fights and deals 5 damage to Arcan, who in turn deals 1 back in retaliation. Xantos uses Bludgeon and finishes off the Frostlord. Felling 1 of the massive Stonehorns, the Bonereapers complete their battle tactic, but score just 2 points.
OBR turn 2, and the big decision of this round was whether I go for Kragnos or the Stonehorn. The Stonehorn definitely felt like a more reliable kill, even with the finest hour, because Kragnos has Mystic Shield. And I'd rather, again, that's more reliable. Worst case scenario, if I had gone into Kragnos, I don't kill him, and then the Stonehorn is left loader free. Here, again, just more likely I at least take one of them down.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll get to finest hour with Kragnos, though, next turn, potentially, depending on priority. But again, just a little safer here in this situation. Not much more to say. Got to use, again, so many command abilities and stuff for all the buffs. Compounding negatives to save even on the Stonehorn. Kragnos does have -1 to save as well. So if you take the turn, he's still -1. So yeah, lots of buffs and debuffs and all that. But we can basically just look at jumping into turn 3 priority, though it is noteworthy actually. I only scored 2 points for a battle tactic here because Kragnos is worth so many bodies, and just positioning wise, my plan is deal with your big pieces one at a time and then store later. So hopefully we can make that happen.
A 3.
And a 6. Here.
Do you take it?
I think I could give it away, but we're going to take the turn, be on the offensive, and go into OBR turn 3.
Yes, sir.
Building on their momentum, the Ossiarch battle tactic is lead into the Maelstrom. Arcan heroically recovers 2 wounds, and Kragnos uses their finest hour. Catacross uses Supreme Lord of the Bonereaper Legions, targets Kragnos with his Scrollbearer, then also steals a command point. The Bone Tithe Nexus uses Punishment of Agony on the remaining Stonehorn. Arcan casts Mystic Shield and Empower Nadirite weapons on the Mortek, but has Drain Vitality ignored by Kragnos. The Soul Mason casts Reinforced Constructs on Catacross, but fails Mortal Contract. The Mortek, Death Riders, and Xantos all use Unstoppable Advance. The Death Riders deal 6 mortal wounds to Kragnos in the charge. The Xantos deals an additional 5 mortals to Kragnos on impact. Arcan fails his roar, then Kragnos uses Titanic Duel and deals 5 mortals with his bellow. Finding a foe worth his time, Catacross uses Bludgeon, but only deals 3 damage to Kragnos. Kragnos attacks Arcan, dealing 7 damage to the Necromancer. The Mortek Guard attack next, and their numbers allow them to finish off Kragnos. Silencing the end of Empires, the Bonereapers complete their battle tactic and score 4 points.
Bonereapers turn 3. Winning priority was bait, obviously the opportunity to go kill Kragnos before I get hit. And he was super tanky.
The first time in a very long time I had him at a -1 save, and not like -1 to a save, but his save was -1.
Better than 0.
Better than 0.
So effectively the only one who could put Rend through, making better than or worse than a 2-up save was Catacross with Bludgeon, so I did that. He put through 3 damage or 2 damage, and then my Mortek finished him off.
Yeah.
But the big story of being able to take him down was all the impact mortals.
Yeah.
I rolled hot on them. I think I got like
6 through on 9 and then 5 through on 7.
So 11 mortals off the top. This unit just didn't have the space to come in. I should have I had made more room with the Mortek actually, but then Catacross's charge was only a 3, so he couldn't fill that gap and make room for them. So that's that. But Death Riders then stretch out because they only cared about the impact mortals and took this objective, scoring me 2 of them. And that's pretty much all there is. Again, volume there going through Kragnos' 2-up save, eventually taking him down in large part because of the mortals.
Yeah. So I think he might have actually had a chance to hang around if it wasn't for the mortals
on impact. But pretty gross, pretty devastating. We'll, I think, jump into a quick BCR turn 1 and then see where priority takes us. Or sorry, turn 1, turn 3. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Staggered by their foes' resilience and discipline, the Ogre's battle tactic is intimidate the invaders. The Frostlord and Catacross both fail heroic leadership. Frost Sabers use at the double to automatically run 6 inches. Thinking twice about rushing into combat, the Ogres complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
Okay, so Ogor Mawtribes turn 3. I just unfortunately, maybe even with a full army, I'm not sure if I had enough damage output to really put a dent in this anymore.
Yeah.
So no point in just sending stuff in to die. In theory, I could tie these guys up, but then they can just pile in around and then eventually take the objective anyway. So it's really not worth it for that. But luckily, just because Jordan had to kind of converge all on Kragnos there, at least he's only on that objective, was able to take that one, still was holding this one, and then I was able to achieve my tactic for 5 still.
Yeah, so. Really good turn of scoring.
Yeah, not too bad. I can see if I get another 5 if I win this prio, which would be nice, but...
that's a 1.
And that's a 2.
You
cool.
Get it.
So I'll take it.
Do you have, what tactics?
My tactic, I will do, none of my ogre units are eating.
Perfect.
So get that, and then I'll hold these guys once again for scoring another 5. I'd probably just move these guys just a little bit farther, just so they're out. But those guys are a lost cause. This guy, maybe he just squeaks just right there. But
just a little fiddling. And then on my turn, bottom of round 4, I have a number of options. the big thing to think about was battle tactics. So what I'm going to do is set up to use my Death Rider 1 to charge them and stay in combat. I'll do my impacts to one of the units of dogs, tag the other one within 3 and not even attack them on my pile in.
Yep, exactly.
And then also setting me up for surround and destroy, which for round 5. Putting the Mortec on this objective with Arcan there, who would then get surround and destroy on that side.
Yep.
So that would give me 5 here at the end of the turn, and then we can jump into priority for round 5.
Yep.
1 again. You and ties.
Yep. So then I would take it. Jordan would be around here.
Yes.
I would do my tactic of all my ogres eating. Send this guy over here. Send him in. Charge him in. Eating at the start of the turn.
Yeah.
Get that tactic. I would still hold this one. In reality, I probably wouldn't hold this one at this point because Jordan
more
would
tech
have
buffed up.
More tech buffed up. Yeah,
possibly -1 hit on.
I'd definitely be -1 to hit because that's your main target. So I just wouldn't be able to chew through enough, and then Arcan would also just be tipping right here as well for another 5. So even though I'm 15, I'm probably not killing 6 more tech.
6 plus Arcan's
6 plus Arcan. So yeah, sorry, it'd be 11.
11.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not killing 11 more tech, and that's even if like Leech Kavalos isn't tipping right there too.
Yeah,
right? and so so I'll just score the 3 there for mine because I'll hold this guy
because
and
you
get my tactic.
win priority.
Yep.
And then I think again more Death Riders, and Arcan. I'd be able to do search and destroy, bottom of 5, scoring me 5 for that turn, and then with a nice, easy grand strategy of having a unit at max, which I would at least have the 2 Death Riders back to max.
Yeah, very nice.
So I'd be able to score that, which actually, because of all the points I dropped early, brings us to a tie. And now, the place I'm kicking myself for the most is actually letting you take this one back with dogs. That's what cost 1 point. That cost. Now, there's a million little places where you can get extra points, but that is the most obvious kind of tangible one of, again, I didn't have room for both Death Rider units in hindsight. I could have bumped everyone over, left 4 guys on here and not given you the opportunity to take it back. That's something, knowing you had the models there in range, I could have and should have thought about preventing that. But again, you never, if I win Prio 5 probably wouldn't have mattered because of the options, but if I win 4, I probably deny that turn of scoring. So.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think the moral of the story is, despite the tied result, OBR is still, even with the battle scroll, absolutely disgusting and doesn't feel nice to play.
Yeah, I have a very heavy hitting army. I tend to go in and do a lot of damage. And I can also take a lot of damage as well, but in this case, it just, I don't think you really lost anything at the end of the day. Through all the healing, I think you're at a full army again at the end, which against a techie army, you should be maybe at full, but against a high mortal wound impact, high damage army, high rend army, really shouldn't be the case. I'm more than happy to pull out a tie here at the end of the day, but yeah, OBR seem quite powerful, even though they do lack some mobility, but the Riders and Arcan kind of make up for that a little
they help.
Right? So.
But yeah, it's just they have so many tools, and even my general trait, there's a bunch of good ones. I was also -1 to hit and wound and shooting for my whole army all game, basically, or could have been, so.
Yeah, exactly, which is something I don't even play into. So even a more balanced army might not be able to do really any damage at all, right? Because I'm pure combat when I went in and did the damage. So.
Yeah, and even something like here, Mortis Praetorians was really great, and I'll get into that in a moment, but you go into something with no Myriad, you're also insanely good against magic. Yeah. So, what can beat you?
Yeah, you try to think of what the counters can be, and they're kind of few and far between.
Yeah, very limited. OBR definitely feels like an army that still needs some tweaking to get into a sweet spot in terms of its power level. But looking at the list itself, I think 2 things to talk about mainly in terms of new pieces in this list. Xantos, awesome, +1 to wound aura, so good, it doesn't stop other buffs going out. It's a reliable +1 to wound. It's just obviously so much value in that, no doubt. And then the other one is actually the Soul Mason. Now he's another redundancy of +1 to wound, lets you put it in other places or stack it if there's a -1 to wound like you actually have. But I think what I would actually do is probably switch him, I'm feeling, to a Soul Mason. Soul Mason potentially gives you another 3 to 6 bodies worth of regeneration to one unit, so the Mortec could have been 3 or 6 more, and back to full after that first turn.
Speed is key as well, as you can see in this game. Speed is still very important, and the Mortec blob is very hard to kill, but at the end of the day it is slow. Like, it moved from here to here over the course of 5 turns, right? And that's even with some charges. So luckily my army had speed to kind of help counter that. But it's a tricky one playing against an army that you really can't kill. If I got a little bit luckier, but you shouldn't have to rely on luck, unfortunately. But if I got luckier, I could have wiped out like the Mortec unit and the horse unit. But once again, that's more so luck than anything. So they are a tough nut to crack for sure.
Extremely, yeah. So it's wild, but again here, tie game in the end. So a great game, but OBR strong. So it was rough in some ways, but. Zach, it was a pleasure anyways playing.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah, and I hope you guys enjoyed this match as well. Again, another look at OBR, first look at Mawtribes in a while, so great to have them out. But guys, again, thank you so much for watching and all your support, and we'll see you soon in another video.